Hey guys, it's Jamie from Warlorder Games here, and today I'm going to be showing you how I painted the KV1 and KV2 kit. If you are interested in picking up this kit, please check out the link in the video description below, and it would also really help us out if you could remember to like, comment and subscribe. As you can see, this kit contains two full turrets, allowing me to use the vehicle as two different variants, and is therefore usable throughout the entire war. A vehicle produced by the Soviet Union, it also saw action in the captured capacity in both Finnish and German forces. The kit also includes a driver figure as well as 8 infantry, which can be used as tank riders or elsewhere in your forces. A fully detailed and varied decal sheet is included, which can be used to individualise your vehicle for any of the forces in which the KV was used. It is also worth noting that other Soviet kits include decals that can also be used on the KV, and we stock a range of metal crew should you be painting a number of KVs and want to individualise them all. Today's video is the final in the KV painting series, and we'll look at various nature effects, including mud and water. I really hope you have enjoyed the series, and I look forward to reading your comments. So guys, here's where we left our vehicle at last time. We've painted all the details, done an enamel wash, done some enamel streaks, and have a very nice modulation effect on the base Russian green. And in this installment, we're going to be taking a look at how to do some mud effects. We're going to be using 3 pigments from Enamel by Mig Jimenez, including Dark Earth, Europe Earth and Light Dust. To begin with, we use a dry brush to apply the pigment to the vehicle. We apply it roughly in the area that we would like it. Now personally, I want to use this pigment to add some interest to the large flat panels that don't have any streaks. I figured dirt and grime and mud would collect in the corners and recesses of this area, so I apply the pigment in those areas. I apply more of the darker pigments than the lighter pigments, due to the fact that this vehicle would be in Russia, where the earth is known for being dark. The next step is to use some Enamel Odourless thinner in order to move the pigments into those recesses. You can also use water for this, but my reasoning behind using Enamel Odourless thinner is that the Odourless thinner will dry quicker than water would. Once dry, it will create a temporary bond between the pigment and the vehicle. And I also apply some pigment to some spot areas on both turrets, mainly around the hatches and a couple of bits around some areas of detail. It's important to note, however, that I do not put too much pigment on the turrets, as not a lot would collect there. I do put some on the steps on the side of the KV2, as I figured this would be an area of high traffic. I then get some dark mud nature effect from Enamel by Mig Jimenez and apply this on top of the pigment. It will slightly tint the pigment while showing the colour of the pigment through. This is an enamel effect, and again I recommend using a synthetic brush rather than your expensive Kaninsky Sable brushes, as the white spirit in the enamel will damage the brushes over time. Whilst this is still wet, I apply some more pigment on top just to build up the effect. How much mud you apply to the vehicle is completely up to you. For more muddy vehicles, apply more pigment, and for less muddy ones that are more stained, apply more of the nature effect. When painting other vehicles, you can use different colours of pigments and nature effects to convey different environments. Once everything is dry, it's time to apply pigment fixer. Now, a pigment fixer will seal the pigment in such a way that you can't remove it from the model, so make sure you are fully happy with the placement of the pigment before applying it. It will also allow the model to be handled on the gaming table without risking removing the pigment from the model. Some people prefer to use varnish for this, however pigment fixer won't tint the colour of the pigment. Sometimes varnish can slightly change the colour, or sometimes drastically. It's important to leave the pigment fixer to fully dry before moving on to the next step. In this case, we're going to be applying Enamel by Mig Jimenez's fuel stains on some random areas of the vehicle. Now, this glossy fuel stain will provide interest on flat panels. After this, I decided to apply some Enamel by Mig Jimenez wet effects to various parts of the body. If I apply this to a flat panel, it will look like water, whereas if I apply it to the pigment that we've placed there before, it will make the mud look wet. This is an enamel product, so therefore if I put too much on, I can remove it using enamel, odourless thinner or white spirit. One of my favourite things about many of the weathering techniques we've covered today is that they are reversible via enamel, odourless thinner or white spirit, meaning it's very hard to go wrong. Finally, I'm ready to start applying mud to the tracks. For this I'm going to be using Enamel by Mig Jimenez splashes. The first colour I'm going to use is wet ground splashes, and to apply this I put some on the brush and lightly blow air from my airbrush onto that brush. That will make the enamel effect splatter across the vehicle, very much in the way that random mud splatter would occur. As this is an enamel, I can again reverse the effect if I do not like the outcome. So here I've got some mud where I don't want any, and I've taken some enamel odourless thinner and I'm just removing it. And the final step is to use Enamel by Mig Jimenez's dry earth splashes, and I layer this on top of the wet earth splashes. I got quite a lot of this on the model and I didn't want that much, so therefore I just take some enamel odourless thinner and remove it. And now the miniature is ready for the tabletop. You don't need to give this another varnish, however if you do choose to, a satin varnish is best, as a matte varnish might kill the contrast that you've worked hard to create. I really hope you've enjoyed this series, and please remember to like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you next time when we'll be painting something different up.